Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, Jason Levine. Today we're taking a look at a heavy game, which is actually heavy in two different ways. It's a heavy strategic game. It's also a fairly hefty game.
Yes.
Called the Dilluvia Project. And this is a game in which planet Earth is overpopulated, but now we can make cities in the sky. And so essentially that is a very, very thin veneer of a theme that you're basically going to be building buildings that get you points, right?
Yes, yes. The theme is minuscule on this, but
That's
it's
okay.
a Euro, so let's talk about its mechanics.
Right, we're not here to talk necessarily about the theme. Let's see a little bit about how this plays. The first thing to understand in this game is how to score. To win this game, you need population points, which are kept track here. But players are going to get population points. Sometimes you'll get them straight up, but most of the time you're going to get them via prestige points. So you have two counters. The prestige point thing moves around the track, and every time it hits a multiple of 10, and you can tell because in the multiple of 10 there's a little pawn that shows that that is when you move your population points. Whenever you do that, you're going to go down here, and that's going to show you how many points you get on your own personal board. On your own personal board, every time you build a new building, you'll move this building marker. So let's say I just scored 30 prestige points, and I passed two of those markers, 2 10s while doing so. That means I score this twice. This is worth 4 points, so I would get 8. So you can see that as the game goes by, you're going to get more and more. So maybe later on in the game, I have this many buildings built, and I pass 5 of them. Well, that would give me 35 population points. So the whole game is based around that. This board that players have in front of them is essentially just they keep track of how many of these prestige points they'll get each turn, how much income they're going to get each turn, and how many cubes they'll get each turn. And there's different things that will increase those. The first part of a game round takes place up here, and on this part of the board there are different tiles that are placed, and players are going to try to get these tiles. In turn order, players are going to place this airship that they have, and you can place it in any row or column, except you can't place it the opposite a row or column someone else has placed, but you can do things like this. Then once everyone's placed them out, again in turn order, you can buy these tiles. So this costs 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the green one, starting player only has 3 coins, so he might buy both of these. And then this guy might just buy the first one. And then this guy might just buy these 2. Then this guy here wants to buy this one, but he also gets 2 coins. He gets a coin for each spot where there's a tile gone. Some of these tiles give you things immediately. This gives you some of the resource cubes. There are different color resource cubes included with the game that are going to help you build buildings and do different things. Some give you money. Some give you special abilities, like this one here lets you build certain buildings for a discount of 2 cubes. This one you can use once every turn to change 1 cube into another cube. So they give you different special abilities. Some, like I said, some of them immediately happen. These are replaced at the beginning of each round, and at the end of the game, there's some printed on the board for use in the last round. Now, players are going to get the majority of their points by building buildings, and they're going to do that each turn in turn order, and turn order is going to be kept track of up here. So each player is going to keep track of their turn order here, and they're going to be placing workers on the board. Now each player has a bunch of workers of their color, and they also have a special worker. And so in turn order, you're going to be placing workers down on a location. You can place 1 or more workers. Sometimes a location will have all place for only 1 worker. So for example, you can see here, the red player can place 1 worker here. Green player can place 1. So everyone can place 1 worker there. Here everyone can place 1 worker, but 1 player can place a worker in extra time. But in other spots where there isn't that problem, you can place as many workers as you want. Each spot, when you put a special worker, will also give you a benefit, and only the first person who puts a special worker in a spot will get that benefit. So for example, in this place here, when you place them, you'll get a cube of the different colors. If you place your special worker, you get an extra cube of your choice. Over here, you will get to buy and control areas on the board. And if you use 2 workers, you get 2 squares on the board, 3 workers, 4 squares. When you do that, you'll be starting in the middle and basically claiming areas here on the board. And you can claim areas identical. You'll notice some of the board is shaded differently. That's for 2, 3, or 4 players. And so players are going to be taking control of these areas so they can place them out later. They can also just pay and take control of one of these fans that doesn't let you build a building there later, but it will give you some instant prestige points. So these are extra ways to get prestige points, and they also give you spots in the future that you can place adjacent to controlling those areas. Over here in this bottom corner, players can place workers to build buildings. Each round of the game, and at the very top of the board, there is a slide piece that shows you in each round of the game, players can build a certain level of buildings. So at the beginning, they can build level 0s or 1s, then levels 2s and 3s and 4s. And if you build a building that matches the level exactly, you're going to get bonus points. So if in round 3, I build this level 3 building, I'm going to get points. When you build a building, you're going to have to pay a certain cost of resources for that building, and those resources are shown on an extra chart here. So you can see level 3 buildings cost 4 tan cubes, a pink cube, and a white cube. The big giant level 6 building costs all those cubes there. So players will pay those cubes, and then they'll place the building in an area on the board where they have room to put it and where they already own that, have claimed those properties. They'll place one of the cubes on that building. There's 2 spots to put these cubes, and those have to do with the end of each round. So for example, if this one's here, at the end of every round I get 3 cubes of my choice. If it's down here, I get 2 prestige points. So which one of those do I want? At the beginning of the game, I'm obviously going to want the cubes, but as time goes by, I might want prestige points. This one here, 2 cubes and 3 coins, or prestige, or 4 prestige points. And some of these places, especially the level 0 buildings that you can get at the beginning of the game, will even allow you to take extra workers and add more workers to your pool. And some are really big like this, and so players have to decide which of these buildings they're going to build. Of course, you can only build the buildings of your level or lower when you place in this spot. Other places that you can place workers include here, where you can buy some of those tiles that people picked at the beginning. They're leftover tiles. You can pay 3 to get those. On this spot here, you can switch to different cubes on buildings and change it. So if you're getting 3 cubes, maybe now you want to get points. You can get parks. Parks can be placed on the board next to buildings, and they will score points for at the end of the game, they'll get prestige points for any building that those parks are placed next to. Maybe you need money. Well, money is located way up here, and so you can place workers there to get money. If you place your special worker, you'll get a bonus of money. And you can place workers over here to go first in turn order. Now that's kind of a very general how this game works. There's going to be more involved in the game than that, learning what all the different tiles do and placing buildings, but that's essentially what you're trying to do. You're trying to get your machine up that gives you cubes so you can build more buildings, and those buildings give you prestige points, and then those prestige points will turn into population points, which will win you the game. After 7 rounds, there's one last final scoring. You'll score all these parks, and there might be some other bonus tiles that get you points that you have gotten from up here, and whoever has the most population points is the winner of the game. All right, so the Dilluvia Project, I'm going to put this down because it really is heavy. There's a lot in this game.
I want to hold this baby.
Now, the Dilluvia Project, we got to tell you first off that there is some production problems with it. There's an incorrect number on the scoring track. The iconography for this game is not the best. You're constantly having to look things up to see what they mean.
The red and pink cubes are too close together in color. That's the biggest one.
Yeah, that's a problem. There's just like trying to figure out what the buildings do. Telling the difference between buildings 2 and 3 is not always easy. So that's a little problematic, and I think they could have done better. I mean, the board itself looks cool. The sky and everything, I like that. But just that there are some production problems. All right. Now, I know you like this game because I can sense it about to burst out of you.
Yes, I did like it a lot. It's basically a tech building game to me.
I would argue that it's more of an engine building game.
Well, engine building, tech building, to me, engine building and tech building are in the same category of you start out small, you build up, you get buildings that give you better powers, which then allow you to build up further to get even better buildings that allow you even further better powers. And I really like those kind of games. I like the games where you're building things to collect more things. There's one thing I noticed in this one that I didn't think was the greatest, is that at the beginning when you're doing the cross-action space where you're picking your original pieces, that cubes are much more powerful than anything else. And getting those cubes to start off early buildings maybe overpowering. I mean, I did it in our game and I won by what, like almost 50 points.
Okay, well, first of all, you would have won by 50 points anyway. Yeah, the first time I played, I ignored those cubes. The second time I played, I did not. I might wonder with Jason, going first in this game is so important. I mean, so important. And going first in that first turn is pretty powerful. Yes, you have less money, but you still have enough money to get any tile you want.
Any 2 tiles you want. 'Cause
Right,
you
any
could
2
buy
tiles you want.
2 in a row.
Right, so because of that, even though the next player can buy any 3 tiles, they still might not get the tiles that really matter for you. And so I feel like going the second and third player should have more money to compensate in the beginning. That's just an off. I don't know, but I think you might agree with me a little bit there, because going first is a big deal, and you will find when you play this game, you better take first place. If you don't have first place, if you're in a 4-player game, maybe second place is okay, but if you're third or fourth, you need to consider taking first.
Yeah, I mean, I found that there's 2 important things. Going first, I was the only one in our game, other than you once.
The last game we played of it, you mean?
Yes, I was the only one who bid in the little play order to take first again, and I did it.
No. I took it back once.
You did it once, and then I took it back again.
But see, if the next time I play, I'm going to take first a lot more, because it's really that big of a deal. Getting those tiles can literally change. And not just getting those tiles, but using your special worker before other people do in the one spot can be a big deal.
Yes, and that also goes to another point of something that I did that no one else did in the last game, was getting those extra workers. Building those 0 buildings to get those extra workers is huge, because then you have an extra worker that you could use to fight for turn order and things.
Right. What you have to realize in this game is it is an engine building game, but it is an exponential engine building game. As the game starts out, you'll be getting a couple points. In fact, you'll grab a tile that gives you 2 points, and you're like, wow, I'm really doing well. Until you get to the end of the game, when you're getting 30, 40 points. And the game has this weird looping mechanism with those extra points.
I like
it
scoring
too.
mechanism.
No, it works well, but it's really hard to grok at first. You're trying to explain to people, okay, every time you pass a 10 with this scoring icon, you're going to get points equal to the number of buildings you have built. Not the number of buildings you built, but where your building is on that track.
Yes.
Okay, I think I get how that works. And at the beginning, you get a few points, and all of a sudden someone's like, oh, I got 40 points. And you're like, what just happened? So the game really has that going for it. And it does reward multiple plays, because my first play of this game, I was like, what's important? Then I was like, okay, much more focus coming in. I need to do this. And knowing when to switch your buildings from giving you money and cubes, which is so tempting, to giving you points is a pretty critical thing.
Yes, I mean, I was all points at the end of the game.
Well, I think in any game you're going to always be all points. I was all points at the end of the last game too. I wasn't the first time I played, because again I was like, I want stuff. Stuff is good, but points are better.
No, stuff was great. I mean, I don't even know how many buildings I had. I just know that at the end I was moving up. I moved up 36 on the chart, which ended up giving me 4 more scorings at 9 points each, and that was like 27 times 4. That was the points that put me so far ahead. And it was all because I built a lot of buildings. I built a lot of small ones. At the end, I gave up on the big ones and just said, okay, I'll build a bunch more small ones just to have more buildings out there, and capitalized by turning them all into moving up the chart for points. And this game is all about managing your resources, trying to get as many buildings down as you can, trying to get good spatial aspects on the board. I really like everything about it.
Now, the game itself, there's just lots of different options and things that you can do over the course of the game. The game scales from 2 to 4 players by decreasing the size that you can build in, and some tiles aren't available. However, I will say that a 4-player game is a much tougher, meaner game than 3-player, for example.
Yes.
Because even though there's less room in a 3-player game, they don't really cut down on the workers that much. There's a little bit more freedom to build. In a 4-player game, you can get cut off if you're not careful where you get built and things. I think 4-player is more vicious. I would actually recommend a 2 or 3-player game for your first game of this.
Yes. I mean, I was thinking about something that I didn't like about this, and it was something that I did, which I don't remember if you said, oh, no, you're doing this or not. On the
I
last
probably did.
turn, since I was going first, what I did is I put, I think, 4 of my workers down, including the special worker, on building, and I literally built all the fans, like every fan that was
All
left,
the ones
except
that
for
were
one of
left.
them. And every fan gives you not only a building, which counts towards making your score better, but also gives you points that move you up the track so you can do the scoring.
But in that exact game, had you not done that, I was about to buy not as many, but a good chunk of them myself, because again, I realized how good that was, and that's why turn order is so very important.
Yeah, I mean, I spent like 36 of my dollars at the end to buy fans, and in a way that's over. I mean, I guess it's okay, but it felt weird that I was just able to plop all my pieces, not all of them, but a good chunk of the pieces down to just buy all the fans and be like, okay, I buy all the fans, no one else can do them. And I know there's no limit on the amount of pieces you could put in a space, but it felt weird.
So what's your overall awesomeness rating for the game?
On this one, I really like it, but as we discussed, there's some flaws, so I give it an awesomeness rating of 7.
Huh, that's actually the same as me, although I think our 7s are different levels. I like it a lot. This is not a game I want to play all the time, but I did enjoy, there's something that I get on with the machine that gets cranking and you get the cubes, and yeah, the production values really do bring it down a bit because you're like, okay, where are these cubes? How do I get that? What does that icon mean? But that concept of that, I don't know, it just feels like a speedometer just going faster and faster as it goes by. That's a really neat concept. That's something I haven't seen in a game before. It reminded me almost a little bit of Terra Mystica's magic thing, but a little bit more streamlined than that.
Yes.
And so I like this too. A second printing maybe that fix some of these problems, great. But even without that, I think people who like that heavier strategy and engine building are going to be a fan of this. So that's the Dilluvia Project.
Yes, it's a winner. Spielworks is a winning company, and this is another winner for me.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.